There's one watch brand that I have a bit of a problem with, and it's hard to pinpoint exactly where this problem started, but it's certainly developed into something that I do need to talk about. Timex is without question one of the biggest watch brands on the planet, at least when it comes to the affordable end of the market. I'm sure they produce thousands of watches every single month. But for me, there's something missing from their watches, something big. And this isn't an outsider's point of view either. I have personally owned 6 different Timex watches now, and not a single one of them has really delivered. In this video, I'll take you through the 6 Timex watches that I've owned, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them, including one of the worst QC issues I've ever seen, and what was missing completely. And at the end of the video, I'll be telling you exactly why I will be avoiding Timex watches in the future. My first ever Timex, the Waterbury chronograph. Probably a little bit of an eye raiser for most of you watching, as it's not a popular model and some likely haven't even heard of it before. But I did score this watch for an absolute bargain. I think I paid around £40 for this one from the official Timex website when they were having a sale. This was your fairly standard quartz chronograph. It featured a basic mineral crystal, 50 meters of water resistance, and a 40mm case. I originally picked this one up because I liked the color combination of the chocolate dial and rose gold accents. The quality of the pushers for the chronograph weren't great, and the finishing to the case was as basic as it gets. But the strap on the watch was good for a supplied leather, and I do think that the proportions were a great fit for my wrist. This Timex certainly didn't blow me away in any single department. At the price I paid, I think I got a decent watch. But if I would have paid retail, I think I would have been very disappointed. This watch lacked any real attention to detail. There were no hidden facets to find on the watch. What you saw on paper is what you got. Overall, I'd give that Timex a 5 out of 10. The first mechanical Timex I got hands on with was the Timex Marlin, and I'm sure that this is a watch that the majority of you have heard of. Now, this is the rose gold version with the white sunburst dial, and it's the exact same watch as the regular steel Marlin, just with some different colours. That means that the standard 34mm case remains, a case size that I'm actually a big fan of. However, the domed acrylic crystal is a scratch magnet. Obviously, this can be fixed with a bit of polywatch, but it's a point to consider nonetheless. But for me, the biggest letdown of them all is the movement. Sure, having a manual wind dress watch on paper is great, and even in function, it feels alright, but when you take off the case back, you are met with a movement that's so small that you'll need a microscope just to see the screws. Now, of course, there's nothing inherently wrong with a tiny movement, but it doesn't scream quality, does it? It's near impossible to find parts for this seagull movement, by the way, and even finding a new replacement movement is super difficult. Overall, the Timex Marlin is a beautiful watch with a couple of very average elements. It gets a 6 out of 10 from me. The next Timex I got hands on with was the Navi XL. This was a dive style watch, somewhat styled after the Rolex Submariner. I liked the unique colour combination of this model, with the white dial, yellow markings and black case, but very quickly my enjoyment for this watch faded. The supplied strap on this watch was one of the worst I've experienced. There was basically zero detail on the watch. That dial was as basic as it gets. The case finishing was non-existent down to that PVD finish. The bezel was bi-directional and only friction fit, not to mention the bezel action wasn't great either. But for me, the biggest letdown actually came when I looked closer at the dial. This model had a printing error with the dial logo. It featured a big black blob next to the Timex name. I think most will agree that things like this just shouldn't be happening. Once I saw that error, there was no going back. I couldn't enjoy this Timex anymore with such a bad QC flaw. Overall, this watch was good looking, okay quality, but that QC error is inexcusable. 3 out of 10 from me. Now, this next model was absolutely an impulse purchase because I saw it at such a low price. This is the Expedition Mechanical, a watch that I didn't even know about until I saw it on sale. A random grey market seller had these on sale at just £70, and for the spec sheet on offer, that was a bargain. This model comes with a sapphire crystal, which is rarer on a Timex than finding gold in your backyard. The water resistance was 100 meters, again not a feature you often see on a Timex watch. And inside was a manual wind movement, again unspecified as to brand or origin. But for £70, that's a spec sheet that rivals watches from AliExpress. press. Now, obviously, the first thing that I had to do is find out what that mystery movement was. Yes, this rough, tough and ready military-inspired watch featured the delicately crafted tiny seagull module with cute finishing. Minuscule movement aside, this watch was definitely worth the £70 I paid for it, but I don't think it's worth the £210 full retail price. Again, mostly down to that movement. Overall, 6 out of 10 for this one. Now with this next one, I knew I was getting a trash watch before I even clicked buy, but I still bought it anyway. This is the Timex Standard, a watch heavily inspired by the Omega Railmaster, copying across the numerals, hands and overall dial design. I liked how Timex took the design and changed a couple of things to make it a little different, with the colours for example, and even added an outer minute ring. But the spec sheet on this watch is a thing of nightmares. It features a flat mineral crystal, a chrome plated brass case, and a basic 3-hand quartz movement. All ready for the £80 price tag? That ain't great. But when you get this watch under a macro lens, oh my, is it bad. The hands look filthy, the dial printing looks sloppy. It really does become clear that this watch is just a thrown together piece of junk. Now for what it's worth, I still kinda like this watch, because it's just a little bit of fun. But let's be honest, it's a hot steaming pile of crap for the money. Selling a chrome plated brass case for £80 should be a crime. This is hands down the worst Timex watch I've ever experienced, 2 out of 10. The only Timex watch I've actually picked up and fully enjoyed is the Expedition Camper. This is the only Timex watch I've tried where I think the retail price is a good representation of the quality of watch on offer. This watch is only £40 from the official Timex website, and you can easily find it for cheaper, so naturally I'm expecting much less quality. But the watch Timex delivers here is actually pretty good. Yes, everything is made from plastic, but the watch is super lightweight and extremely comfortable to wear. We see the use of the Indiglow movement, giving us that fantastic low light legibility, and the supplied strap is surprisingly comfortable. This watch isn't trying to masquerade as an expensive watch like most other Timexes. This military-inspired watch quietly goes about its business. It's not trying to be cool or flashy, it's just doing its job well. Sure, it won't last as long as others because of the materials used, but it's only £40, so that's to be expected. This is the only Timex that didn't disappoint me in one way or another. Therefore, it gets an 8 out of 10 from me. I feel that after 6 watches, I've given Timex enough of a chance to turn me into a fan, but they failed miserably. Aside from that £40 camper, every other watch has let me down, and including the camper, I didn't see or feel a high level of quality at any stage. I don't personally think that Timex make great value watches. Looking at their catalogue, I find it extremely hard to see a good value watch. When you look at something like this from Casio, which is a very similar price, the Casio is worlds better than anything Timex is putting out at this price point in my opinion. Now I'm sure that the whole Timex catalogue isn't trash. I'm sure, well at least I'm hoping that they make a good watch somewhere. But let me tell you, I'm yet to experience it. I'm more than happy to have my mind changed on this in the future. But with my current experiences, I'm yet to be impressed by a single Timex watch. Multiple instances of poor quality control, weird movement choices just to save money, and insanely overpriced watches for the spec sheets on offer. Until Timex just does something different, I can't see myself being a customer again anytime soon. So if you've got $50 to spend and you don't want a Timex, then go and watch my video here where I cover the top 10 best watches under $50. Go and check it out, great watches, some crackers there. I'll see you over there guys. Bye for now.